Okay, Andy, here we are at Stadium MK where Ipswich Town have got a 0-0 draw, and it's broken the pattern of win-win defeat under Kieran McKenna, and it's moved them to within an extra point closer to the playoff places. How do you reflect on this as a draw?
Yeah, creeping closer. Away end over there, packed with nearly 7,000 fans, came here hoping for a win. They didn't get the win, but I think most of them would probably have gone home enthused by a performance against one of the sides right at the top of League One. They didn't really look like losing it. They had opportunities where they might have won it as well, but all in all, a fair point, I thought. Just Ipswich maybe shading it on points if this was a boxing match.
Yeah,
but
that's a good analogy, and that's exactly what Kieran McKenna's just said in his post-match. I think we just about shaded it. I think it would have been just deserved if we'd nicked it, but I think undertones of draw was probably about right. But a lot to like about that performance. I thought it was a step up from Bolton and Sheffield Wednesday, the two games that Ipswich had lost before. Obviously, in those two games, Ipswich didn't carry much of a goal threat going forwards, and despite having lots of the ball, ultimately let their concentration slip to lose both of those games. Mm-hmm. Today it's another clean sheet, 6 in 9 now under McKenna, and although they didn't score today, they worked some really good openings. There wasn't anything that you would describe as a clear cut or gilt-edged chance, was there today?
No.
But there was an attacking threat.
yeah, from different areas of the pitch as well. I think we'll talk about Caden Jackson a bit more in a minute as a surprise starter, as a striker. He had one tipped over. Sam Morsey there was a 20-minute spell in the first half where every time Sam Morsey got the ball, he seemed to have 10-15 yards in front of him, which he drove into. Same with Bersant Salina, found pockets of space to threaten. Bon had a header wide. They had openings, but it didn't feel like either side were going to win this until final 10 minutes. Actually, Christian Walton needed to come up with a couple of decent stops to help his team. But what did you make of Caden today? We were both. I think a lot of people would have been surprised to see that name on the starting lineup.
Yeah, he played sort of as the lone striker with the double number 10s in behind with Selina and Chaplin. I think a lot of people were expecting them to go again after a decent performance against Doncaster. We weren't expecting Caden to be the striker of choice, but the game plan from McKenna was to have a bit of pace in behind, someone that would press their back three, press their goalkeeper, and he just felt that Caden's attributes are different and what were required for this game. We talk about McKenna sort of analysing every opposition and coming up with a bespoke game plan. He felt like Caden was the one today, and I thought he played pretty well, to be fair. Look, he's got his flaws at times in terms of doesn't always bring it under control, and never quite convinced that he's going to finish it off. There was one time where he raced through, not quite one-on-one, but down the side of the box in the first half and had a shot tipped over. But in terms of what he was meant to bring to the party today, I thought he did it. He created that extra bit of space for Chaplin and Selina to kind of work in, and he's worked his way right back into the picture now here, isn't he?
Yeah, you know what I liked for Caden today as much as what I liked about him is that we've seen him play as a central striker before, haven't we? And I think we came to the conclusion previously that he wasn't a one-man central striker, but that was in a Paul Lambert team largely that just didn't function. This team was built specifically to use him and use his attributes, whereas previously he was being asked to be like the everyman striker, doing a bit of everything, and that's not his game. But in a team that's playing to his strengths, he can be an effective player. He scored goals for Ipswich and before joining here, so it's great to see him involved again. Would you have maybe were Bon and Norwood a little late in the day in terms of substitutions? Would you have had them into this game a little bit earlier? 76.
Possibly, but I would say it's a bold move to your 0-0 at MK Dons to bring on Bon and Norwood as a double substitution. I think that's a sign of McKenna not being happy with the point and going for it. As I say, I thought Jackson did pretty well today as part of an overall game plan. I thought he was decent. I know he's always going to have his knockers, but I think he might just change a few opinions if McKenna can utilise his strengths the correct way, and I think they did that today.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Should we talk about Sam Morsey for a minute? Because obviously we knew he was going to come straight back into this side. He's impressed under McKenna before that 4-game ban, and he did so again today, didn't he?
Yeah, as you say, in that spell in the first half where he kept getting the ball and providing that forward thrust, that penetration through the middle of the pitch that they've really missed during his 4-game suspension. Makes a difference in that midfield today. For how often I look back on some of the bigger games this season, Ipswich have had their bigger players missing, and today it was good that they had him available for this game. So lots of positives to take from this one. I think it's a big step forwards in terms of sort of performances against those better sides in the division. Of course, at some point they're going to have to beat somebody above them if they're going to close the gap, and there is some of those games coming up towards the end of March. But before then, we're back to a couple of, on paper, very winnable home games against Burton and Cheltenham at Portman Road, then long away trips to Fleetwood and Morecambe as well. So a real chance, I would say, for Ipswich to keep this ball rolling. 5 points sounds a lot better than what was it, 9-10 just a few weeks ago. Yeah,
it does, and to move a point closer today is a positive. They're going to have to keep this up though. There's games in hand involved throughout those teams at the top. So there's some games there that are winnable. They're going to have to win the majority of those and just keep this rolling. They've got real momentum under Kieran McKenna. We say it so many times. Even if that poor start to the season if they'd taken 3 more points from August in a month where we thought the fixtures were kind and there were games there to be won, 3, 4, 5 more points in August, and this season would look so different under Kieran McKenna, who actually may not actually have been here should they have taken those points from August. But they're going to have to keep up those levels of consistency. But if with performances like that against the better teams, if they could just add a few more goals,
that's it, isn't it?
They'll be in with a shot.